Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? It's me, Paddy from across the Shuck, and you're very welcome back to the channel. I'm making this on Saturday afternoon. I don't know when I'll get it up. Probably Sunday I'll put it up. But what this is like a follow-up to yesterday's video and just a bit of Saturday knife chat. Just I don't know where it's going to go. I've knives to the left of me. I have knives to the right. Whether I use any or all, it depends how my waffling keeps going. But let's get started. First of all, I want to thank everybody who watched my sharpening video last night. I watched it back myself, and to be honest with you, it wasn't the best. Not in sort of the content, but in more the video and off it. I've got a new setup for the next time I do, probably in a fortnight's time. I'll do another video, a sharpening video. I've got a new setup, and it'll let you see what I'm doing better. I had the camera in the wrong position completely. So I apologize for that. But for all the comments and the people who watched it, I really thank you, because I really enjoy doing these, and I've never actually stuck to doing a series, whereas this time I'm going to. I'm using one stone for all the knives I'm going to sharpen, and it's 1,000 grit. This is not for knives that you've dulled completely. These are just bringing knives back from dullness. And it's one stone and a strop. That's all I'm using on the videos. So if you haven't watched it, please go back and watch it. If you have, this was a knife that I sharpened. This is a Chinese-made, no-name steel, just stainless steel. It's from Whitby Knives, Whitby Knives Company.co.uk, something like that. I'll put it down below anyway. I'm not affiliated with them whatsoever. I bought this quite a while back. I can't even remember how I think I paid about £8 for it, but I checked this morning and they're £9.95 for a wooden handled. It's just a cheap sort of a hardwood. I don't know what it is. It didn't look like this in the video, so I said I was going to revamp it a bit, just so that to show you that you don't need to spend a whole lot of money. If you want to learn how to sharpen and use the knife you're sharpening, which is the biggest advantage, is you'll get to know. In this series, I'm going to be doing different steels every time, going up in the better steels. I'm starting basic and then going up. I think the next one I'm going to do will either be 440C or 8CR. But I just want to show that this stone, how far this stone can get up in the graduation of blade standards. I believe it's quite high, so I'm hoping it's going to. I've only got word of mouth for that. But this is the knife I used. I put a half decent edge on it. The edge wasn't great on this when I got it, but I've got a half decent edge on it, and all I used was a 1,000 grit stone and a strop. And it's, well, let me just show you what it's like. It's like this. It's absolutely fine. It cuts great. Not the best I've ever done, or not the worst I've ever done. It's a good working edge. It's taken a keen edge, so I think it's probably somewhere in the 440A, 420, 440A, that sort of series. So it's just a steel, and it's a basic steel. But for an EDC knife, I wanted it to look a little bit better than it was. I mean, these scales, they came at this height right across over the top, and they were stuck up high on this side. So what I've done, as you can see there, I whittled them down on either side so that they're coming into it. Yeah, there's gaps. It's a £9 knife. It's really solidly made. I mean, look at that back spring. That back spring is absolutely fine coming round. It's even terminated, not too bad. But it's well put together. It's good and sturdy. There's no wobble. It's got a half stop and a good slamming, and it's centered, you know what I mean? So absolutely, what can you expect for 10 quid? Again, I think I paid 8, but just say 10 quid. So then what I done was, it was rough on the edges, in the inside here. And the inside of here was all rough on the edges, and I was catching my finger. You could hear it on the video last night. Nothing. I've taken that all off. And what I've done was I just used this little sandpaper and block. It says it's 180, is that? Yeah, 180. I just used this little block, put it up on the inside of there, done that side, then changed it over and done the other side. And then I sanded the whole knife down with just the block itself. Then blocks are fantastic. And look, it made this beautifully and smooth. Although it's 180 grit, it just made it lovely and smooth. And then I put a little bit of Powers beeswax polish, which is a natural wood finish. It darkened down lovely. I put 2 coats on it. Now I'll leave it for 24 hours, and I'll put another couple on, and I think it'll darken it down and make the wood look a bit nicer. There's plenty of grain in the wood. It's not that it's ugly looking, but it wasn't the prettiest. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? So, I mean, but if you want to follow along in this series and try and get cheaper knives and check this stone, then I'm checking the stone so that you don't have to. But if you do decide to get the stone and you get these sort of knives, there's nothing to stop this being a secondary knife in your pocket. I used this knife. This is the my new Ask Jefferson model from Medford. I used this to whittle the wood away, taking it from, it was sitting there up above the knife, right? So I whittled this down. You can see where I've whittled it, kept the edge there, whittled it down nice on the opposite side, same way, down to the blade. Absolutely super little knife for doing it. This is S45VN. So the nice thing about this as a pocket tool, it's also got a pry bar or a chisel, both, and you've got a bottle opener and a screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver on this side. Not a huge amount of tools, but I don't use a huge amount of tools, so it's nice. And I can change these to other tools that they're making, and they're making more. So, but I love this. And it was the first time I got to whittle with it, and it was absolutely fantastic for doing it. The S45VN, nice deal. Nice deal indeed. So, here's the carry. Look, a lot of people say, well, I don't have expensive knives. When you buy cheap knives like this at £10, save up for a couple of weeks and buy a little bit more expensive. Now, you don't have to go to this at all, but you can afford to go up a little bit, and that's the best way to start increasing. But don't use your good knife that you buy, use the cheap one. This is the secondary knife, but use your secondary knife. Keep this for good if you do want to take it out in front of people and not going to scare them or whatever. But I mean, this doesn't scare anybody. That's the other thing. You can get this, whatever your crest is on here. It's just a lovely, lovely, people-friendly knife with an amazing blade on a multi-tool. A blade steel, I should say. This will do most of my tasks every day. I don't use a knife a whole lot. I'll use it every day a couple of times, but not on a whole lot of things. So having this in my pocket, I can just work away and do, and especially if you've got any nasty jobs where you want to get in, you want to poke and do things that you shouldn't do with a knife, a 10-pound knife is the knife to do it with. Because if it breaks or does anything, you can either repair it, if it's a tip, which is easy to repair, and we'll do that along the way with this journey. We'll do tip repairs. I'll break one and repair it. But that's a lovely carry. Look at that. That's an expensive knife, but I'm taking it with a 10-pound knife, and I'm not embarrassed by this knife at all. It will do, again, most things that I'm going to cut, which is, paper, cardboard, string, anything like that. That's what I do mostly in my day-to-day living. But it's also got a lovely Wharncliffe, which is great for detailed work. If you want to cut pictures out of something, out of a newspaper or something. So there's a perfect carry. I also had my air blaster because after I sanded it, I give it a real good blast with the air before I put the beeswax on it. So that's all you need. That's all you need to reprofile a handle, a wooden handle, clear, soften all the edges, sand down all this, and then put a covering on this wood, which will nourish it and make it it actually feels beautiful in the hand. It is a lovely knife, nice bulbous end. Like the British ones tend to have a lot more bulbous ends, but this is a beautiful Wharncliffe. But it's not a turned up one as such. You can see that. It's nearly straight, but it is so comfortable in the hand. Really is a lovely little blade to carve with or whatever you want to do. So there you go. As simple as that. A cloth as well. That's all I used. And yet I've got now a really serviceable knife that I can use. And the blade is sharp enough for everything I'll need. But if I blunt it, I have my backup. And I have my backup. This is also my main carry because it's got an S45VN blade, which will get through anything. If I've got to do extended tasks, I'm covered. But this is for all the crappy work, the mundane stuff that there's no point blunting this knife when I've got this on me. And this will strop back the sharpness again at the end of the day if you use it the way I do. So I just thought I would show you that I said I was going to do it in the video last night, and I did it, and I'm really pleased with the outcome. And then it set me, I was sitting here thinking, well, am I realistically going to carry this? I'm not, but I've got a large choice of knives, and I'll get, other knives I can use. But for anybody that's starting about, or you want to get a knife for your children or things like that, you can't go far wrong with this. You're not going to worry what to do with it, if they break it, if they do whatever. You're not going to worry for £10. Buy a couple. And, if you want to make it look a little bit better, chamfer the edges down, give it a little coat of wax, and sharpen it. And that's it. Give it to your, 12, 13-year-old that you're going to give them. And I just think that's fantastic. Great bargain. So, and then it left me with this knife. And I thought, well, what am I going to carry today? Because since I've had this, I've carried it every flipping day since I got it. All over Christmas, the lot. This is what I carried, along with something else. And I thought, what am I going to carry today? And then the fact that this has S45VN, if I had a sack knife, right? Just say, for instance, I had a sack knife. Let me just pick a nice one out. I don't want to underrate this one. There's a nice one there. It's got 2 blades, it's got scissors, and it's got a saw. Beautiful knife. Can't remember what they call that make, but it's a gorgeous knife to take out. It's every bit as pretty. That's a 91mm, which is about exactly the same size as that, and the same depth. Bit more tools in this, but it's still, the one thing it hasn't got that this beats it on is the blade steel. This just has a basic steel. But, like I've always said, that basic steel will last me as long as this. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not worried about being undercovered for jobs that I'm going to do during the day. So it's about the same size, but look at the thickness in the blade. If you look at the thickness of the tools in this is a work tool. It really is a work tool. I adore it. Adore it already. And I got it for nothing. But I'm definitely not a Medford shill. Although I think he makes some of the best knives in the world in that category that he makes. And this category, there isn't another one in this category. There just isn't. This is super. So, and I thought, well, Carrie, how do you take, I like to match my colour knives with together, whatever I'm taking out in sheaths and things like that. So I have picked this as my carry for today. This is the no fear for anybody. I like this little sheath. It's got a pen in it. And it also has, let me just get this out. I picked a nice little 2-bladed equal end penknife, I would call it. You got that lovely clip point in this. This is a Remington, made in the USA Remington. Gorgeous clip. Absolute. That wee knife, I didn't expect the beautiful clip to go. I adore it. It's lovely. Again, this blade steel is whatever it is. This is a 9504. So I think it's a fairly, it's a few years behind it anyway. And you get the main blade, and you get, this is a serpentine jack in it. That's all I would call it. Serpentine jack, 2-bladed jackknife. Lovely pen blade, which is a half decent size, again, for anything I'm going to do. And this is literally, I think this is nicer. Although it's not an expensive knife, to me, that's nicer than this. So I'd rather carry that than that. Plus the fact I've got 3 blades here. So again, this will do me for anything I'm going to do during the day, and the blades are that easy to strap back again. It's so much easier than having to maybe redo for S45VN. Although not a whole lot if you can sharpen, but it's a nice carry, and I like the green, and it goes with the green in my little leprechaun here. Lovely carry. But the other thing this knife is doing is getting me to carry other knives that I hadn't carried before, and I'm going to be getting different covers for this over this next year. Now, how many I get depends how much money I've got, but so there was one. That's what I'm going to, stick in my pocket today. The other thing is I don't have to go expensive. I mean, that one's not expensive. There's a Marbles. Copperhead. Absolutely beautiful bone. Again, goes with my little leprechaun. I love it. I know this is childish, but go there. And then I can go up. I can go to this is green, micarta, although it's dark now. When your oils go on the green micarta from GEC, it darkens down to what, nearly brown. But I mean, this is a fantastic knife. This I can take and I won't be undergunned by this knife. This is a fabulous working knife. But it's only 10.95, so it's not if I got a job that's going to last a fair bit of time, this could dull, and it depends on what it is, the material I'm going through, it could dull it. Again, got this in my pocket. S45, it's going to cover anything. When this runs out, I'm always going to have this. So, and it's a joy carrying my 71 again. It's given me an excuse to carry my 71, if nothing else. Doesn't have to be a slip joint, because I'll also carry my Benchmade 940. Probably my favourite knife. One of my favourite knives anyway. I mean, this is my first proper knife, and I still enjoy it and love it every bit as much. It doesn't get used as much now. That's why it's nice and shiny looking. It's got a beautiful edge on it. But it's a lovely knife, and there's my new excuse for carrying it, because I've got this. So it has been carried already a day since I got it, but just a lovely mix and match. And that's what I'm tend to do. And then if I want to go really fancy pants, there you go. If I'm going out to meet somebody from the knife community, I can take my Jack Wolf with me. This is the Cyborg, and look at that, beautiful with this little knife. I didn't even bring this blade out, let you see it. This is a lovely spear point blade, which gives me different options. Nearly all them blades are different, and this gives me different options of jobs that I want to do. So I might be choosing it for the blade shape for the job. I mean, this is great if you got sandwiches or whatever and you want to cut with it, like an awful lot of us do with our knives when we're out. But you can cut sandwiches. If you want to open a box, I would take that out. Do you know what I mean? So nice little jobs, and you have different knives for it. But that's a beautiful combination. Beautiful. Sheeple friendly. Maybe not so much sheeple friendly, but it's a nice knife. It's legal. Do you know what I mean? So there you go. Listen to the noise on them Jack Wolves. It just flipping turns me on. It's gorgeous. But can you see where I'm going there? I've got so much choice now with this knife, and it's getting me to use, because I've got a good blade in this. Whatever this knife, my secondary knife doesn't have to have a good blade at all. A Marbles is 440A. That's fantastic. Well, and 440A is a good steel. Don't get me, I'm not knocking 440A, because I would carry these and use them regular. They're easy to sharpen. They can strap back. But what I'm saying is, having a multi-tool on me with a blade steel like this is fantastic. It makes a huge difference. And most of the time, I don't want to carry my Leatherman in my hip pocket, unless I know I'm going to do a job or something, or I've got something to do around the house that I want to have the different tools that might be on the, I don't need that. And I've got pliers, I've got Knipex if I'm going to do things. If I need a pair of pliers, rather than take a whole Leatherman with me, I'll just take my Knipex. I can clip this on, put it on my belt, and I take that if it's a job that's going to be, to do with plumbing or something. Not that I do a whole lot of that, but there we go. So, I mean, it's just to show you that, what you carry, to me, it's so interesting what we carry and why we carry it. And that's why we keep looking for videos on your EDC. But this sort of green coloured thing has really got me. And I actually need some more green coloured knives, green bone knives, that will just play along with this. I mean, I can go orange, I can go white, I can do lime. There's so many colours I could pair with this. I've got no problem. I could even take a beautiful, here's for instance, this is the joy of knife collecting. I mean, this is my joy, is thinking what I'm going to take. I can take that beautiful mother of pearl with me. Beautiful knife. Absolutely stunning mother of pearl. It is gorgeous. So I can take that with this. This is my pretty one. This is my user. There you go. Bit of a change, but, I'm still going to have two good blades that I'm going to use. So there you go. Does that make any sense? Do you feel like that? I mean, do you get joy out of hunting what you're going to use the next day? I really do. I probably have too much time in my hands, but I genuinely do. And this little knife, I mean, it's just lovely. I know I was only doing a bit of whittling with it, but actually using it for its purpose was nice, rather than just cutting a box up. It was just nice to do it. It took me a while, and the smallest little curly curls you could actually get was so lovely just shaving them down. And they were coming up in the tiniest. I wish I'd have kept them. They were so tiny. It was just gorgeous. I talk a lot of twaddle. I'll leave them other knives over there. But there we go. That was my thought process today. Fixed up a knife using minimal effort, but made a much nicer looking knife. And you'd be surprised if you go back and watch that video yesterday, how nice that looks compared to what it did. And I've done an end shot. Look how lovely that is now. Really nice. Take care. Thanks again, everybody, for listening to my old waffle. But I like chatting to you. Take care. Bye-bye now.